know Donald Trump's wig is itching because they done gave Jimmy Kimmel his show back. Jimmy Kimmel is back, and I have not heard nothing from Donald Trump.
Well, would you look at that? Jimmy Kimmel is coming back on the air tomorrow night, and all it took was 5 days of intense public pressure and about $4 billion lost. For those boneheaded execs over at Disney, over at ABC, ESPN, Hulu, wherever, to finally use those brains that apparently are worth the salaries they're being paid.
So the Jimmy Kimmel Show is back on the air. This happened because so many of you made your voices heard and made it clear that you refuse to live in a country where the government can pull the licenses of stations because things were said that they don't like.
In their statement, they said, last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday.
Jimmy Kimmel Live is back on air. This is following a Disney's announcement on their social media platforms that Jimmy Kimmel Live will be back on air on Tuesday. A lot of netizens have come online reacting to the boycotts and even praising whatever happened and saying it had an effect on whatever decision that Disney had to make. So let's check out a number of videos that I've gathered for you guys, and also we're going to be discussing from how the show was suspended and what effect it had on free speech. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Njoroge. Subscribe to the channel, comment your opinion, and tell me, what do you think about this story? Is Jimmy supposed to accept coming back, or is he binded by the contract that he signed with Disney, or what is limiting him? Please share your thoughts, and thank you so much to each and every person who have continued to support our channel. Thank you so much. Let's get to it.
I know Donald Trump's wig is itching because they done gave Jimmy Kimmel his show back. Jimmy Kimmel is back, and I have not heard nothing from Donald Trump. Now, over on Truth Social, he had posted about 2 hours ago, and he was talking about some mess, child, which is safe to say that him and his 27 piece has not heard the news that Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air, honey. Now, a lot of people are speculating that the reason why Jimmy Kimmel has gotten his show back is because of how many people had canceled their Hulu and Disney Plus subscription, including myself. And that's the main reason why you guys haven't gotten any coverage from us over here about Project Runway, because it airs on Disney Plus and Hulu. And now that Jimmy Kimmel's back, we can get to Law Roach back on Project Runway. Now, other instances as to why people believe that Jimmy Kimmel got his show back is because individuals across the aisle, political figures across the aisle, including Republicans, Democrats, and independents, basically said that this was wrong to be censoring him for what he said. And that includes a quote from Ted Cruz, a senator out of Texas. He stated, "I like Brendan Carr, who happens to run the FCC, I believe, FCC." And then he says, but we should not be in this business, which is censoring individuals on television. We should denounce it. As soon as Donald Trump puts on that 27 piece and says something, I'm going to keep y'all posted, okay? But he ain't said nothing in a while, so I'm concerned that he's not happy about the decision.
Well, would you look at that? Jimmy Kimmel is coming back on the air tomorrow night, and all it took was 5 days of intense public pressure and about $4 billion lost. For those boneheaded execs over at Disney, over at ABC, ESPN, Hulu, wherever, to finally use those brains that apparently are worth the salaries they're being paid, to make a common sense decision, which was to say, fuck Donald Trump. Jimmy Kimmel said nothing wrong, and he's not going anywhere. And of course, the only one of those 3 things that I said that they actually said was the last one, because they didn't say fuck Donald Trump. They're still very, very terrified of him. In the letter that they put out there, it's very much walking on eggshells. Pathetic. They also did not really stick up for the concept of free speech at all. They were pretty much just being like, we had some good conversations. AKA, they saw how much people were freaking out and how much people were taking their money away from them, and that pretty much got the gears turning. So with all of that said, tune in to Jimmy Kimmel tomorrow. It's gonna be a doozy, I'm sure. Comment below what you think, follow me for more, and most importantly, continue showing Disney, ABC, Hulu, ESPN, Sinclair Media Group, Nexstar, and every corporation, every organization that is involved with this, right? Continue stepping on their necks and telling them where they can shove it. And one more thing I want to say, just to round this all out, do not ever let somebody try to discourage you into thinking that boycotting, that protesting, that speaking out, that demanding accountability from those that do wrong doesn't work, because we're seeing time and time again right now that it does. The only language these people, these corporations understand is money. And now, well, they don't like that we can understand what they're saying and that we're getting pretty fluent too. So keep it up, y'all. Keep it up. It's working. And be sure to comment below what you think and share this with someone to spread the word. Jimmy Kimmel's back, but it's still fuck Disney.
So the Jimmy Kimmel Show is back on the air. This happened because so many of you made your voices heard and made it clear that you refuse to live in a country where the government can pull the licenses of stations because things were said that they don't like, that jokes were told that they don't like. That's not the country that we're going to accept. So this is a big positive step, but we have to make sure that we continue to make our voices heard and continue to draw a line in the sand when it comes to government intimidation and government silencing of free speech. In Russia, Vladimir Putin yanked a comedy show off the air in 2002, one of the highest rating comedy shows in Russia, where puppets engaged in satire of political figures, including Vladimir Putin. He yanked it off the air, and look what has happened in that country. We are not going to go down that road because that's not who we are. Thank you to everyone who is part of this campaign. It's not over yet. Who knows what they're going to do next? We're going to keep fighting, and we are going to win.
Jimmy Kimmel is back. Disney's ABC just announced that they're going to return his show to the air tomorrow night, Tuesday, September 23rd. This comes 5 days after they announced they were going to pull his show indefinitely over comments he made on Monday night during his monologue about Charlie Kirk. In their statement, they said, "Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday." Jimmy Kimmel hasn't made a statement about this, but he was seen outside of his lawyer's office, and inside sources have told a lot of media that ABC and Jimmy Kimmel and his lawyers, etc., had been in talks to come to some sort of compromise, and it looks like they finally reached that. This decision comes after a week of people speaking out, calling this censorship, that it's against free speech and the First Amendment. Even The View spoke out on this today. Now, The View did not talk about this last Thursday, and they said today on the show that it was because they were stopping and taking a breath and processing things. They said they did the same thing with Stephen Colbert when his show was canceled. Friday, the show was taped, so they couldn't talk about it, and they shared today. And of course, they were supporting Jimmy Kimmel. They said that no way should government be getting involved in this, and it's just censorship. For once, it seemed like people on both sides of the political line were in agreement over this. We had everyone from Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, as well as former President Obama and Gavin Newsom, all agreeing that this is not right, that Jimmy Kimmel should not have been canceled, and that the government and the FCC should not have had a say in something Jimmy said that they just didn't like or didn't agree with. It's also being said that Disney has lost billions of dollars over this. People were posting screenshots of their canceled Disney Plus subscription as well as Hulu, and posting that they were canceling their trips to Disney or even their cruises that they had booked. Now, whatever the reason may be, Disney ABC has now announced Jimmy Kimmel's show will be back tomorrow night.
Oh, so Jimmy Kimmel is coming back, baby. Disney has caved and he'll be back on Tuesday. I guess all of the money got to them. The people's money, that is. Now, I just did a video and told y'all that I've been trying to cancel my Disney Plus, ESPN, Hulu combo for days, and I have not been able to. But I know a lot of people have been able to. Been canceling Disney cruises, weddings at Disney, all things Disney up and down ABC. If it has anything to do with it, people have been saying no, ma'am, Pam. And apparently they decided to listen to the people instead of caving to the government. Which is interesting because Disney, y'all gave us so much as children in order that you would teach us not to bend to bullies. Can somebody roll a clip of A Bug's Life? What were we being taught there? The Lion King standing up to the bully who murdered a father. Pocahontas. The Little Mermaid. Like, you literally have taught us no. And then when you decided to go inside with the bully, you thought we was going to stand with you? That wasn't going to happen. There's movement in our money.
Well, this is an interesting turn of events. Disney just put out a statement saying that Jimmy Kimmel's show will return to the air tomorrow, Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. The headline says Jimmy Kimmel's show will return to air 6 days after being pulled indefinitely, Disney announces. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday, and that is a quote directly from whoever represents Disney. Or I guess you could say Disney as an entity. So this is very interesting because a lot of people came together and canceled their Hulu and Disney Plus subscriptions. A lot of people were doing it, and I wonder if that had anything to do with this decision. I also wonder, and I'm very curious to see how Jimmy is going to return with his opening monologue. Like, what is he going to say? This could be like the most watched episode of late night TV maybe ever, because I will be tuning in to hear what Jimmy has to say. What do you think about this? Let's talk about it in the comments.
America just suspended one of its biggest late night shows, Jimmy Kimmel Live, after comments he made about Charlie Kirk's death. This isn't just about comedy or politics. It's about freedom of speech, responsibility, and how far words can go in shaping society. Hi everyone, my name is Njoroge here. Let's dive into this together. Before we go further, all the clips and videos used here belong fully to their original creators. I give them full credit and I truly appreciate their amazing work, because without them, we wouldn't have the full picture of what's happening. Jimmy Kimmel, one of America's most famous late night hosts, made comments about Charlie Kirk's death that sparked outrage. Audiences and regulators argued that his jokes crossed the line, moving from humor into disrespect and even insensitivity toward human life. This led ABC to suspend Jimmy Kimmel Live following pressure not only from viewers but also from the FCC, the body that oversees broadcast content in America. This isn't just about one man losing a platform. It's about the balance between free speech and accountability. The US Constitution's First Amendment guarantees free speech, but history shows us that speech isn't always absolute. For example, you cannot shout fire in a crowded theater when there is none, because it endangers lives. Similarly, in 2004, Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction during the Super Bowl halftime show triggered massive fines and tighter regulations from live broadcast. That case wasn't about speech, but it showed how one moment on TV can spark a nationwide conversation about media standards. So Kimmel's case isn't happening in isolation. It's part of a much bigger debate America has faced for decades: how much freedom should entertainers have when their words or actions cut deep into sensitive issues. Jimmy Kimmel is not the first and won't be the last. Other comedians like Dave Chappelle and Roseanne Barr have faced backlash for their words. Roseanne, for example, lost her entire sitcom in 2018 after a single offensive tweet. In politics too, the same struggle plays out. Presidents, senators, and influencers have had to apologize or step down because of the power of words. America has a history of walking in a tightrope, protecting freedom while preventing harm. The question is, where should the society draw the line? Is it when someone mocks the dead, when someone targets minorities, or when public trust in the media itself is shaken? For Jimmy Kimmel, this suspension could just be temporary, or it could mark the slow decline of America's most watched late night shows, but the issue goes beyond him. It forces Americans to ask, should entertainers be held to the same accountability as politicians? If free speech is protected, how do we prevent it from becoming free harm? History tells us this is not the last time a celebrity faces such a suspension. Every generation in America seems to have its own battle between freedom and restraint. At the end of the day, Jimmy Kimmel's suspension is not just entertainment news. It's a mirror of where America is heading. If society leans too far into censorship, free speech suffers. If it leans too far into unregulated words, respect, dignity, and unity are lost. Balance is the key. And here's a thought to reflect on. Proverbs 18:21 says, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." That means words matter. They can heal or they can wound. Whether you are a comedian, a leader, or just posting online, the way you use your words can shape entire societies. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit like, share this video, and subscribe for more commentary. And I'd love to hear from you. Do you think Jimmy Kimmel's suspension was fair accountability, or was it censorship gone too far? Let me know in the comments. My name is Dennis Njoroge. Please subscribe and see you in the next episode. Bye.